Hey guys, and welcome to Little Black Button 91. We're doing a part two because part one, they took me out the game. Okay, all right. They said it was a copyright stream because I was streaming Joe Budden's content. So unfortunately, I couldn't stream it any longer. I think they got to me in the end, the Joe Budden network. They said we can't stream his content like that. So unfortunately, we've been chopped up for that. I think because I used that information for too long. But in talking with the Joe Budden situation, I guess I can give my kind of thoughts on that real quick as well. Shindig out here, baby. It's a bit of a mazzoline. I was thinking, brother, I was gonna bring this points and actually address all the things that were said, and we've been taken out the game. It is what it is. All right, cool. Okay, let's see where we are. Yes, let's see where we are. Hey guys, I hope we're back. They took me out the game, people. They took me out the game. They took me out the game. They took me out the game. So you know what? We're going to bring something else. Talk about her comments because she actually didn't say the Corny situation. So she actually addressed the point. So let's just quickly go for what she said. Hopefully TMZ don't come up my neck as well.
Crazy. And the things that people are saying to me, like they hope I get raped and killed and popped in my head. So it's one last be in the world. Like, I just think like if you were upset because you thought I called him corny and those are the things that you're rebuttaling with, it's like the crime and the punishment that if that's what you thought I said, it doesn't even match up.
Anyway, so but anyway, with the Michael B. Jordan situation, Joe Budden and his conversation, with the fellas, was indicative of when people really are unable to see a different perspective. When people see you in a particular way, um, and people have a particular idea of how black person should behave, normally the word corny comes out, right? And it oftentimes get contrasted with what we call rough type of characteristics. People that are usually bad boys or super cool, or do you know what I mean, are accepted into the culture. And when people do things that are not typically quote unquote black, I mean, like for instance, we talk about anime, right? Anime wasn't always cool. Anime was not always cool. In fact, if you watch anime beforehand, you were a nerd, you were a geek. Now people use it as a gimmick, not even a gimmick, but yeah, people use that. If I watch anime, people don't say you're a geek and a nerd anymore. What do you mean you watch anime? Yeah, I watch anime too. What do you mean? Right? But you'd have been called a geek beforehand. Of course, don't count the things like Dragon Ball Z and stuff like that. They were a little bit outside of that remit. But if you watch like anime, you were like a geek and a freak because we had a concentrated gap, or say concentrated market of what we called cool in black culture, and that made it a struggle for other people who didn't fit into that to be able to function in a when you were young. You were called corny, you were called, oh, you're trying to be a Malteser, or da 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 da. Do you know what I mean? We'd all have names, and listen, like I said, I was young, I was stupid, I was saying things as well, when I was younger. But I would apologize. You know what I mean? If I see someone that I hurt their feelings, and let's say they someone said that you said this to me when you were young, my automatic response would have been, I am so sorry. I was foolish and I was young and I was being stupid and I didn't realize the effect of my words. I'd apologize. Why would it become a point where, at the end, where now I'm sitting on a podcast like Joe Budden and I'm saying to people, yeah, they're corny, they're corny. Yeah, look at how corny. The brother was hurt by what was being said and what had been said to him. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I look at the situation, I'm like, I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed in Joe, but then I don't know why I expected anything different from what he actually said. I was watching a little bit more what old girl was saying, and then we'll carry
Like,
on.
how is that okay? The narrative is definitely still pushed. I feel like I admitted exactly what I said. And then even those words got turned around. When I told the story, it was super lighthearted. It wasn't even in the sense of me breaking down the entire school experience. FYI.
I think the problem here, so they actually played the clip, and I found the clip obviously on Twitter. So in the conversation, she doesn't actually say it, which I said already last time. She didn't say it. The problem that she had though was that she was saying her point whilst another girl had said about him being corny and didn't correct her. And so then obviously when he brings it up to her, even at the end of the interview, as they're leaving, she says, well, you're not corny anymore. So it makes it sound like you agree with the corny statement, you know, because he wasn't corny in the first place, right? But she didn't say the corny comment. That was the other co-host. And she's out here. I think later on she says in this video that she was, uh, people were probably looking for her to kind of defend, um, almost Michael B. Jordan to defend her. But the reality is, he can't defend her. Not when she's done what she's done. But not even just that. The same way that obviously you didn't defend him from your co-host. Why would you expect Michael B. Jordan to defend you in this situation? Like, do you know what I mean? He's not going to. He said what he said. It wasn't rude. He just, her silence was agreement. Because if she disagreed, she would have said something, but she didn't. She kept quiet about it, right? Let's watch a bit more. These guys took me out of the game.
We went to school together for 1 year. So the narrative that I bullied him all throughout high school, this was 7th grade. We were like 12 years old and everybody made fun of each other. And then like I would get joked on because of my complexion. And, I went to a predominantly Black school. So it's like white girl, oh, your boy, now you're mocking me because of my boy. We made fun of
we did all get mocked when we were young, 12 years old. But let me tell you something. We remember. Whether it was 1 year, whether it was for a short period of time, what you don't realize is people who are 12 years old, some people commit suicide just being 12 years old. All right. So don't downplay the fact. You see, you're downplaying your part in the whole shenanigan by saying it was 1 year. I was 12 years old. I said what I said. But listen, the person still remembers what you said. We got to stop that. If a child now comes and says they killed themselves because of what they suffered in 1 year from the bullying, we'd be like, we have to be nice. Mental health is real. Like, we have to treat kids properly. Kids can be. We would be straight away defending. So just because someone made it through, just because somebody's still alive, just because somebody's made it better than they were before, doesn't downplay what we did when we were younger. Like I said, if I offended anybody when I was younger, and I keep telling you, but I've told you guys a story about one white particular girl that I was in school with, and this girl liked me. And I remember I told her I didn't want to be in a relationship. I don't want her. I didn't like her like that. But she kept on pushing, right? And at one day on the back playground with everybody watching, I mean the whole school watching, I told her to effing get out my face. I don't like you. You're ugly to me. Because she kept on asking. And let me tell you something. It was the most embarrassing thing that I could have ever done. I felt so bad. I mean, not in the immediate moment. I went to go and play football, right? But I was just tired of her, kept on asking. But let me tell you something. When I saw her the next day, I saw her in a chit shot and I said, I'm so sorry. I apologize. Now, she might not even remember that apology. If she wanted another apology 10 years, 20 years down the line, I'd apologize again, right? If she found me 10, 20 years down the line and said, listen, you know what, coach, what you said to me hurt me, I'd apologize. If I ever see her again, I'll apologize before she even says anything. Because I still feel bad about it. Because when you actually care about people's feelings, you don't just go through life doing whatever you want to do. You think about how it can impact somebody, whether I was 12 or not. I was 12, probably 13, but 12. Yeah. But I still think about it. I'm like, yo, that was mad. No, that was deep. That was deep.
Each other. That was school, that was 1 year. Again, I've never bullied him. That just sounds so outrageous to me. Like me bullying Michael B. Jordan his whole life. Wouldn't we have heard about this before this? Yeah, I do feel like he took everything out of it. It gave the Will Smith thing where it's like, he's heard numerous people probably call him this before because this is not something we haven't heard, right? I just never said it. I've defended him numerous times just because of the fact that I did have a rapport with him. And I never said.
What rapport did you have with him? You know what I mean? What rapport did you have with him? No, for real. What rapport did you have with him? Think about it. What rapport did you have with him? If he's calling you out on the red carpet. What rapport could you really have? Right? So there was no rapport there. What you had, like you said yourself, it was 1 year in high school. So why are you talking about rapport? Where's the rapport? You're talking about rapport, but you said it was 1 year in high school. So how all of a sudden you turn it around now and be like, yeah, hey, I had a rapport, with Michael B. Jordan. I've defended him. Where? Because it's only been 1 year that you knew him from school. Remember? That's why you brought it up on the carpet. You said, "Oh, we went to the same school together." Come on now, come on now, sis. Felicia said I should apologize in public. I can't because what difference would it make? I have to see the person. You know what I mean? I have to see the person. So when I see the person, I'll say sorry to them. I've already said sorry to them before, but I'd happily say sorry again. It's not a big deal. Do you know what I mean? I'm not gonna make a YouTube video about it. That's long. But I would happily apologize to the person. No problem. This happened in school anyway, so yeah, I'll definitely apologize.
Said we were best friends. I never said, we were cool. And that was just that. So when I was even asked to do the carpet, I did it because I'm like, oh, this is a big moment for him. And I thought it would be dope. Just the fact that, I did know him when he was young. And it just went totally left. I didn't expect it to go like that. And some people did try to spin the sexiest man comment. And that was weird to me because if you do your homework, he was named the sexiest man in the world by who does that? Is that People magazine? People magazine does it, and then Jonathan Majors recently did an interview where he spoke on. They asked him about him possibly being the sexiest man. So when I
and listen, do you know what it was? The question itself wasn't bad. The problem was you had upset Michael B. Jordan. So now you had upset Michael B. Jordan. At this point, if now you said what you said of Michael B. Jordan, you've upset. I'm telling you because now I'm starting to see videos with Michael B. Jordan and Jonathan Majors, and I'm seeing, oh, okay, these two are really getting close. So you know what? Sometimes when your bro is in a situation, you go and stick up for your bro real quick. You know what I'm saying? When your boy's in a situation, you stick up for them real fast, real quick. I think that situation also happened here. That he kind of sensed that your energy's off. So the question, the way he kind of answered it, a little bit some way.
asked that was an all in fun question, literally trying to turn a bad situation into something good. And then that's when I was like, let's settle this once and for all. Who is the sexiest man between you two? They're both nice looking guys, but no, thank you. That wasn't my goal to go to Creed 3 premiere and walk away. Cause like Michael B was on General Hospital and stuff like that. So that was not really our demo. So I left from there and went to Columbia High. And when I went to Columbia High, that's where SZA, Rotimi, and everybody. And shout out to SZA because she did an incredible performance last night in DC.
When people just moving mad, fam, you know, when people are moving mad, they fail to take accountability for their actions. You know what I'm saying? And they try to make it about other people rather than taking account of their actions. You was a bully when you were younger because you was teasing people. It's called bullying because what people were doing, right? That's why people are coming at you. Now on the red carpet, you forgot that you were a bully, and then you brought up a situation, and also where you recently spoke about something which concerned Michael B. Jordan, where you didn't actually defend him. You spoke about your experience of going to school and bullying him. And then when your co-host talks about him being corny, you didn't come out and say to your co-host, we shouldn't be saying this stuff. Your co-host doubled down on Instagram, came out and said he definitely is corny. He corny for dating that white girl. So where have you defended Michael B. Jordan? I'm confused. Where have you spoken against what was said by one of your, I say co-hosts, but the person who you were talking with at that time? Have you? It's a pretty straightforward thing for me.
And I did go to the concert. I did go to the meet and greet backstage because they wanted me to go back and talk to her. And it was so funny because the first thing she said to me was, "Oh my, I thought we went to high school together. Michael B. Jordan was in our high school." And I'm like, "No, I went to like 6 different high schools. You know, I was an interesting one back then." He's doing this thing out here. I don't have no ill feelings, but it's crazy to me when people are like, well, even when they listen to the audio, it's like, well, you didn't defend him when she called him corny. And I'm like, and he's not defending me right now when everybody's calling me a bully because he knows I'm not. It's a
Look at come and see madness. Listen
but
this.
it's crazy to me when people are like, well, even when they listen to the audio, it's like, well, you didn't defend him when she called him corny. And I'm like, and he's not defending me right now when everybody's calling me a bully because he knows I'm not. Just a bully narrative.
You know when people don't know how to take accountability, this is how it looks. This is how it looks. This is how it looks. When she first started, she was talking about how, I only went to school. Her point was to defend the fact that she had known him for a very long time. Okay, no, no. We only went to school in the 7th grade from 12 years old. I didn't bully him I didn't spend the whole entire time bullying him. Of course, over the course of his high school years, right? Then it goes to the fact that obviously no, but we did have a rapport. How the frick do you only know him for 1 year, but you didn't bully him for the rest of the thing? But now you have a rapport with him, and now you're saying that you want to be that because you didn't because you want to make the deduction that we've said that you didn't defend him on the podcast. By the way, you said you have a rapport with him, right? You said you have a rapport with him, and so you have a rapport with somebody who you don't defend on a podcast, and then you're telling us that because he's not now defending you. Yeah, because he doesn't have a rapport with you. He has no rapport with you, but you're telling us you have a rapport with him. That's what you told us. You told us that. Well, I had a resistant relationship with him. Do I know you like that? Do I know you like that? I don't know you like that. But then you're trying to use it like I don't know him to prove a point, but at the same time I know him to prove a point. No, sis, you can't use both standing points. You have to choose one. You have to choose one. That's what I'm talking about, the duplicity. So people like her, people like her, right? You know people like her who throw a rock and hide their hands. And when they get called out, instead of actually just saying, I am sorry for what I said in those times to you, or saying, I'm sorry that what I said at those times because it was wrong of me to say that. Instead of saying that, she goes on further and doubles down. People like her, they are bullies. And they're the worst type of bully because they won't even tell you that. They won't even admit they're a bully. Man. Wild, wild, wild west. Wild west. Wild west. Crazy, crazy stuff. Crazy, crazy, crazy stuff. You can't make this up. This girl said we had a rapport.
Again, I've never bullied him. That just sounds so outrageous to me. Like me bullying Michael B. Jordan his whole life. Wouldn't we have heard about this before this? Yeah, I do feel like he took everything out of it. It gave the Will Smith thing where it's like, he's heard numerous people probably call him this before because this is not something we haven't heard, right? I just never said it. I've defended him numerous times just because of the fact that I did have a rapport with him. And I never said we were best friends. I never said, we were cool. And that was just that. So when I was even asked to do the carpet, I did it because I'm like, oh, this is a big moment for him. And I thought it would be dope. Just the fact that, I did know him when he was young. And it just went totally left. I didn't expect it to go like that. And some people did try to spin the sexy.
The more I listen to it, the more deluded she's sounding at this moment. And I'm saying deluded in the sense of the fact that you're not being self-aware about what's happening. You spent 1 year in school and you told us out of free volition of your own mouth on a podcast that you said that you used to tease him about his name. Fine enough, you didn't call him Corny. You used to tease him about his name, but you even said your story in conjunction with your co-host already saying something mean. Do you know how mad that is? Do you know how wild that is? Do you know how wild it is to to that you're on a podcast? Let me get the I've actually got it. Let me bring that up. Hold on. Let me just bring that part up because I'll bring up the video that she talks in the podcast as evidence, so we can discuss it, isn't it? And not just say it. Yeah, it's important. Let's bring this up. Here we go. Some people are wild out here, wild up here.
Like a nice, corny guy. And I don't mean that as a slight, right? I mean, we all know that the nice, corny guys treat you the best.
You know, it's so crazy. I went to school with Michael B. Jordan at a point in life, and we went to Chad Science together in Newark. And to be honest with you, we teased him all the damn time because his name was Michael Jordan. Let's start there. And he was no Michael Jordan. And then he
Pause. Right there. See, it's easy for me to say, listen, I'm telling you, because when I was young, we had some issues. If you go to an all-black school, I remember there was one girl, and listen, I've always apologized to her, so don't worry about this. There was one girl. There was one girl I remember in school, and at the time she was big, but she was strong. This girl was so strong. Hey! This girl was so strong. If she thump you, could be deadly, right? But I remember she pissed us off. There's a couple of us guys, and she just pissed us off. She was just doing too much. And I remember I love this guy. Me and him and the guy, we're all so cool and that. Do you know what I mean? There was like a group of us, and we were having our own conversation, separate conversation, not with the girl, on our own. And everyone just started ripping through her with just fat jokes. Unfortunately, we were young and stupid, and I know I was wrong for this, right? So we're all making these fat jokes. Then one of the guys in the group, he wants to be funny, so he goes and snitches to the girl and says we all said what we said, even though he said stuff. He said we said this stuff. He wrote it down on a piece of paper and gave it to the girl. So the girl's now fighting us, wanting to thump us up, beat us up and everything like that, right? I remember this because it was outside of exam. Hey, kids are cruel because I remember some of the jokes. But I remember we had a conversation as well after, after me and her were cool. And I apologized. I said, look, I'm sorry. Like I said what I said. I shouldn't have said what I said. Do you know what I mean? Like I said a lot of stuff that I had to apologize for because I said some stuff. But again, if she brought it up again and said to me, do you want coach? That really hurt me at the time. I'd apologize again. Because I know how child trauma is going to affect people when they grow up. You know what I mean? So I'm not afraid to say sorry for things that happened in the past, because really and truly, when it got out to her, it became bullying. If he had stayed in the group, would have been our little thing, would have carried on. Once he went and told her, it becomes bullying. We may call it teasing because teasing is a much more nicer way of saying what we actually did. But unfortunately, it was bullying. Once you got to know, because then even after that, when we had that little period of time, it was extended. And then now every time we saw her, we would say we'll say a joke about the joke that one guy came with a really good joke. I can't lie to you, it was mad, but it was, and then we'll always mention it. Right? I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that. And I know how cruel it can be. I know how painful it can be as well. To have people saying things about you. So yes, it became bullying. You become a bully. And that includes what I did when I was younger. You know what I'm saying? So I have to take that. Like, to someone, I was their bully. Now, you may call it teasing, but to someone, I was their bully. You know what I mean? Other people would have been a bully. So you have to be aware of that, man, and be self-aware, you know?
He also would come to school with headshots. And back then, that was like in the hood. We lived in Newark.
Yeah.
Like that's the hood. You know what I mean? So we would make fun of him, like, what you gonna do with your little stupid headshots? Like, and now look at him.
And now look at him. He got that Black Panther money.
Well, yeah, I didn't exactly.
So we got Michael.
One thing you never heard in that was anything sorry or feeling remorse for what she did or feeling bad, what she did, what she said to him. You know, I think about the stuff that I said in my youth, man. I'll be thinking about it, like, yo, I was fucked up. You know what I mean? Right? And, you know, yes, we all got our dose of bullying. I had my own bullying that I dealt with. But either way, don't make no difference. If you are part of that circle, you have to be accountable. That includes me for the things that I said and that I did. And one thing you never heard in that podcast extract, maybe she said it later on of the podcast, is her saying, you know, I know what I said was wrong at the time. And I know what she said. I know what I said was wrong. I know what I said. I should have never said it. You know, I should never went there and said those words. But you don't hear her saying it. If anything, you just hear her keep doubling down on what she did when she was younger. You know? So what should have come out of her mouth is, guys, you know what? I'm seeing everybody's comments. You know what? What I said was wrong when I was younger. What I said was wrong. You're actually right. What I said was wrong. Nope. She's not. You know? No, I hear you, Brother Rubies. I hear you. We all come from ends. I come from a hood ends. I come from South London. And listen, South London ain't no joke either. You go to school, you go and be clowned. But the reality is, a lot of it was bullying. That's what I'm trying to say. So, you know, a lot of it was bullying. And we don't want to class it as that. We class it as I was teasing somebody. Until somebody comes and tells you how it really affected them. Then you're like, oh, snap, I thought I was just joking with you. No, you're having a joke at my expense. It's a joke at my expense. Right? It's a joke at my expense. And you had that on me. And then you go on a podcast in today's society and tell a story about how you bullied me and you still don't even see. But you want to call it teasing. Oh, we used to make jokes about you, Michael Jordan, da 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 da. And then you remember he used to look, you were only there for a year, but you remember him walking around with headshots. Of course you were making more jokes. Come on. We've all been kids. Of course you're making more jokes than just, oh, he was walking around with a headshot. Come on. We've all been there. You know, we've all been there. But we know exactly what it is. We know exactly what it is. Right? She needs to be accountable by understanding, hey, I did something wrong to somebody. Right? And that's why I said that I knew that she wasn't going to be self-aware, because if I hear someone for the first time telling me, if somebody tells me, you know, if I hear somebody telling me, coach, you know what, you used to call me corny. I see. I'll be like, do you know what? This is the first time I've even heard that. I even said that. I apologize right away. I apologize straight away. I'm so sorry. That's not how we should have handled things when we were younger. That could have been a good moment, but she didn't. She doubled down to do her job instead of actually just get in that moment switch. Hey, MPJ, I'm so sorry. You know what? When I was younger, I was stupid. I apologize. Would have quelled the whole thing. Would have quelled the whole thing, and the situation would have been passed. But no, she doubled down. You know, she doubled down. And the whole point is, why was he corny for carrying headshots around school? Let me tell you something. If he was carrying his American soccer boots around school, would he be called corny? Oh, that's what I said. like we know what doesn't get called corny. If you were running track, or if you were playing football, soccer, if you were playing a type of sport that brings money in and is very well received, if you were wearing your kit all day, nobody would say anything. If you were wearing your cleats, nobody would say anything, right? But you carry your books around, you carry your headshot around, you carry your school notes around. People start looking at you like, yo, you're corny. When you're trying to get your education, when you're the kid in class telling people to, hey, yo, come on, man, I'm trying to get educated. Like, you guys are talking, I'm trying to actually understand. You're corny. When you're the kid that doesn't want to do the things that people are doing to throw away their lives, you're corny. How are you getting clowned on because you're carrying a headshot around? And instead of you to look at it and be like, oh, you know what? I'm sorry about that. You know, I when I was younger, I was out of it. I said what I said, and I apologize. Sorry. You know, but instead you had pride on the red carpet and you decided to double down and push forward. Probably. More than likely. You're right, Jay, because it wasn't a strike. I thought it was gonna be a strike. Usually when YouTube do it, it's usually a strike, but there was no strike. It was just you can't use this content thingy, copyright. So I thought it would be a strike, but it wasn't. It was just a you can't use content stuff. So interesting. So yeah. So it'd be like that. Ad revenue paid to copyright owner. So the video is being monetized by whoever owns it, though. So it's going to on behalf of Joe Budden, Quarter Lab. So whoever owns his content is getting a revenue industry on the thing. So, you know, it is what it is. All right, but yeah. So yeah, man. You know, it's like, you know, it's sad. Like I said, because many people have been many people have been Michael B. Jordan. And for Joe Budden to come out and then make a podcast about everything that he said, that's some childish ish. You know, to come out and say what he said, you know, knowing how you know, that it takes graft and skill and dedication to get to where he is. That's crazy, yo. Crazy. Can't lie to you. Absolutely brazy as well. So I'm disappointed in that. I'll be honest with you. Disappointed. And yeah. it's given what's his name? Nehemiah, sorry, Nehemiah, and Tobias, and what's his name? The other dream killer. That's what it's given. It's given Bible times, Nehemiah. You know, going to build a wall, and then there's people that are haters, and they actually try to stop you from building a wall. That's what it sounds like. You know, there are dream killers out there as well. So yeah, man, it's a shame really to see that kind of stuff. Yeah, it didn't fit the mold. You know, I would have liked for, like I said, I would have, you know, we've seen Joe Budden. Joe Budden's another one. It's just a problematic individual person. Just a problematic person, you know. And in his commentary, in the way that he spoke about Michael B. Jordan, the degradation of him, you know, and we know that Joe Budden himself has been called corny before, and then you out here sitting on a podcast with a couple of your mans, and a couple of them tried to check you, but you didn't even want them to talk. about the way you behaved. And then the lady sitting next to him too was agreeing. Yeah, he corny. Problematic. Absolutely. I agree. No, Mimi, I absolutely 100% agree with this comment. A lot of this stuff happens, even in manosphere, this also happens well. But it's just like when people are bitter, and specifically talking about the men in this instance, this is actually normally how they go about it. They start clowning, they start jesting on you, they start trying to tear you down. Like what Joe Budden has done has showed me somebody who's ultra bitter, right? Ultra bitter. And then trying to preface it with a if he had said you want to try that stuff with me on the red carpet. Joe, you yourself have been in trouble with several people in fights, my guy. Why would your first instincts be to try that with me? Why would your first instincts be that? Why would your first instance be you're in a position where you're going to necessarily potentially get into a fight with Michael B. Jordan? I'm confused. Why would that be your situation? You know, but you chose that aspect. Yeah, I remember the Buster one still. Yeah. This is very true. This is very true. Ismail, this is very true. And I think we have to talk, and we'll do a separate podcast about this. Joe Budden is a plague at points with the way that he can talk about certain situations, especially the way that he's gone about his thing. Right? He is a plague. Right? So when you get rewarded, like you said, with him behaving the way he has, you'll realize that you're absolutely right. Nothing changes for someone like Joe Budden because he's got an audience. I don't even listen to his content. I'll be honest, I don't. I just came across it as Michael B. Jordan situation. But people listen to Joe Budden and we support his madness. Right? To be fair, the guys on the podcast did challenge Joe Budden. To be fair, the guys on the podcast did challenge Joe Budden as well. You know? So I definitely understand that. Yeah. It's political, man. I used to love Joe Budden, especially when he put his song, you know, pump it up because of stop the because of you got served. Da, 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 da. Pump it up, you know. But since then, sir, since you've been on podcasts, yeah, your mindset is problematic. You know. You'll be mad. Someone said the employees are challenging the boss. Oh man, yeah. So it's disappointing to hear Joe Budden talking the way he did. You know, it's disappointing. But it's not unexpected. It's just problematic. You know, problematic. Yeah. Interesting. Very interesting. But yeah, my other video is still there, guys. So it's quite interesting. So the other video that I did, the video I just did earlier on, they stopped the live because it had content that was obviously had Joe Budden's content in, but it's not a copyright strike by the grace of God. But they're actually claiming money on the video, and it's still up, which is quite interesting. Which means one of the team did strike the video for having too much of it in, I guess, too much of the video, too much of the podcast in the video. It gets like that. It is what it is. But all right, I'm gonna leave it there. You know what I mean? But yeah, Joe needs to be held accountable, man. Like maybe not for the corny stuff, but for the stuff that some of the past behaviors that he has issued. Major needs to be held accountable. I can't lie to you. Absolutely needs to be held accountable. That's no joke. Wow. Okay. But listen, guys, it's been blessed. I appreciate you. Make sure you guys stay locked and stay loaded. We'll see you again very soon. You know, it's a madness out here. People out here calling people corny when they're disgraceful in their behavior. Joe Budden, nah, not about it. Love and peace, man. I'll be back in a bit. There's another video I need to do anyway. All right.